Over the last 10 years, I've listened to 1 to 10 podcast episodes a day, primarily in the self-help, wellness, fitness category. To save you 10 years, 365 days, times 5 hours, aka save you 18,250 hours, I've found the one biggest tip from every single of the most popular fitness podcasts on the internet. And today I'm going to share them with you. Podcast number 1, Found My Fitness by Dr. Rhonda Patrick. Her biggest tip, the importance of omega-3s. According to her, a growing body of evidence indicates that omega-3 fatty acids may prevent symptoms associated with chronic health conditions such as cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disease, and arthritis, and may be beneficial in combating aging-related diseases. The stats say people with 8% higher omega-3 index, on average, have a 5-year increased expectancy compared to people who just have a 4%. And what are the 3 most important things to look for in an omega-3? 1, the triglyceride form, which is greater than the ethyl ester form. 2, low oxidation status. You can use websites like IFOS to check. And 3, a high concentration of EPA and DHA. Number 2 is a meme at this point. The most popular fitness podcast there is Andrew Huberman. And what is his number 1 advice? Let's say it all together. Hey, on the count of 3, look to your partner. 3, 2, 1, morning sunlight. But why? Now I'm going to tell you so you can flex on all your friends because they just know morning sunlight. But why do you need morning sunlight? Morning sunlight within the first hours of waking up as soon as you can, even if through a cloud cover, increases early day cortisol release. And this is important because this is the ideal time to have cortisol in your body, which will actually prepare your body for sleep later on in the day. A morning spike in cortisol from the sun can also help with immune system, metabolism, and ability to focus in the day. And of course, the most important thing is it regulates our circadian clock, which is your body's system to tell you when to wake up and when to go to sleep, which help regulate other systems like your hunger and body temperature. So how much should you get? On a sunny day, 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. Overcast days, I'm sorry. For those, I live in the most overcast places, Vancouver and northern Sweden. And to get these positive effects, we need 15 to 20 minutes. So you can still get it from the cloud, you just need more of it. And if you're also like me in northern Sweden, where you only get 3 hours of light a day sometimes in the middle of winter, the best thing you can do is turn on as many bright lights in the morning as you can. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. Next, Perform by Dr. Andy Galin. This is a newer one on the scene, but has really been rising in the charts, and I think a lot of you might be interested in it. And what is his most important takeaway? Get strong. He really emphasizes that just building muscle for the sake of appearance isn't as important as getting strong. And why is that? Individuals must also develop strength, force production, and power, force multiplied by velocity, to optimize their physical capability. He argues that insufficient muscle strength and power can negatively impact an individual's quality of life. Now let me explain. There's different types of weight training that you can do. 1, there's hypertrophy, which is really more on building volume, which helps build muscle size, and this tends to be more in the 8 to 12 reps according to him. Then there's things like strength and power training, which uses blocks of periodization over about 12-week blocks, emphasize velocity-based training, and incorporating various components like speed and agility drills. Both things involve progressive overload, so getting a little bit stronger every time, whether it be more reps, sets, weight. But it's really, are you lifting a few things really heavy and explosive, or are you lifting a lot of things your size? And the most important thing is just longevity, health span. One of the biggest indicators of just helping with longevity is staying strong. Not necessarily staying jacked, just staying strong, which leads me to the next person, Dr. Stacey Sims. This is a wild card. She doesn't actually have a podcast, but she's a podcast guest on a lot of these health and wellness, so I thought I'd throw her in because she's really specific for something. I'm passionate about that, and then that's specifically training for women. And a really hot topic on the internet, which I'll be doing a full video on, so hit subscribe if you want to see that, is cycle syncing. Now, cycle syncing is a little horoscopy. It's a little dating someone because of their star sign, but at the same time, there's actually a science behind it, and I think there's just a lot of conflicting things on the internet, and I'm going to explain the science behind how to train and optimize performance through your menstrual cycle versus not dating someone because they're Gemini. To simplify it, the low hormone phases of your cycle, which is from first day of, bleeding to ovulation, so that's about day 1 to 14-ish, is just roughly about the first half, is when you are primed to do power and strength. This is when you will have the most energy. So because you have the most energy, you will see the most benefits in your workout because you just have more energy, so you'll be able to lift heavier, so you'll see more results. Because once again, back to Andy's, progressive overload is the most important things to getting stronger, building muscle. So to lift heavier and stronger and faster, do it when you have the most energy, and that's in the first 2 weeks of your cycle. And women just typically have a better capacity to handle physical and mental stress during these times. Now, naturally, you're gonna have a deload week, you're gonna have weeks that you're gonna lower back, let your body recover. You might as well do it when you have a little less energy, which is PMS time, somewhere in the last 2 weeks before it repeats. Because women, wow, don't you love that for us? It's just up and down and up and down. I will do a whole video on it, but simply, it is simplified. The Drive by Peter Attia. This is probably, if I'm going to say Keltie, I only have one podcast to listen to when it comes to health and wellness. Personally, my go-to resource is The Drive by Peter Attia. It's just samples, but his book, Outlive. Sneak peek. I'm not going to... Next week's video? Did I just tell you what next week's video is? I don't know. Maybe I just did. But I've listened to every single Peter Attia podcast. I've listened to all the ones he's been on. I've read his book. And what is the number one thing? Exercise is the best longevity drug we have. If you saw the stats of what exercise does to a person's health span and lifespan, it would be the best drug ever invented. Like if you just see the stats of like how much people live in every single category, if you saw a pharmaceutical like this, it would be the best selling pharmaceutical of all time. Because like, this thing increases your life by 40%. Oh my, get everybody on it. It's exercise. It's exercise. Next week, we'll talk the specifics of the exercises he recommends, but just know, if you want a magic pill to live longer, work out. YouTubers are sometimes podcasters. Podcasters are sometimes YouTube. Sometimes people listen to YouTube. You're listening to this like it's a podcast right now, I bet you. I know what you're doing, Megan. I see you doing it. So I'm going to actually throw out one of the most trusted sources online on YouTube. So he's not a podcaster, but I think a lot of people consume his YouTube videos like podcasts, and that's Jeff Nippert. And I thought he has a great series going on right now. He has a tier list of all the best exercises for each muscle group. And so I went and watched them all and found his number one exercise for each muscle group. And these are his answers. Bicep, the face away Bayesian curl. Shoulder, cable lateral raise. Quad, hack squat. Tricep, overhead cable tricep extension using the bar. Back, chest supported rows. Abs, a weighted crunch and leg raise. Chest, machine chest press. Glute, he actually hasn't done an updated glute video in a while. Maybe it come out since I've posted this video, but I just went and found, because I know I got the girlies watching, what are the most science-based exercises you can do for growing your glutes? And according to Jeff Nippert, glute kickbacks, hip thrusts, banded sidewalks, cable pull-throughs, back extensions, frog pumps, hip abductions, and good old-fashioned Romanian deadlift. Next up, Tim Ferriss. Actually, I'm just going to be honest, the 4-Hour Workweek and Tim Ferriss's podcast was the first like health, wellness, self-help thing I listened to. Now, he's not like pure health and fitness, like there's just one sub. It's just kind of optimizing life and routines, and part of that is health and wellness. And I thought I'd let you know the biggest tip after listening to Tim Ferriss' podcast. Not consistently, I go through phases, but over the last 10 years, his biggest tip is his to-do list, the 3 to-do list. And there's 2 parts. 1, never have more than 3 things to do a day on your to-do list. And specifically how to incorporate that into your routine. First, when you wake up or before you go to bed, write 3 to 5, a little contradictory in there. He said 3 sometimes, but anyways, 3 to 5, no more on your to-do list. How I summarize that is like 3 major, and sometimes you can have like 2 minor things, like taking out the trash shouldn't be one of your 3, but it can be your 4 or 5. But they're things that are making you feel anxious or uncomfortable. And you know what they often are? They're those things that you've been putting off. You know what I mean? They've been on the to-do list for a little too long. Every day they get bumped. Yes, those. Put 3 to 5 on your to-do list. Then for each of these items, ask yourself, if these are the only things I accomplished for the day, would I feel satisfied? Will moving this forward make all the other to-dos unimportant or easier to knock off later? Those are kind of questions to ask yourself. Then look at any of those answers that you clicked yes to for those 2 questions, and then block off 1 to 3 hours for said task in the day. And that's his version of a simplified to-do list to get the most important things done, and also the things that just like unburden yourself. Because I have that feeling all the time, that to-do list, and every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, and I would just feel so much better if I just got it done. Next podcast, the Mind Body Pump. I'm going to be honest, I haven't listened to this one in years. I used to really listen to it when I was in like my bodybuilding-esque phase a long time ago, and now I'm not a bodybuilder in the least bit. But I decided to go back, re-listen to a bunch, and just so I could get the number one premise. And I'd say their number one premise is most people tend to want to lose weight and gain muscle. And the answer is a calorie deficit, eat protein, progressive overload. It really is those 3 things, if that's your goal. And also, I like this one. I felt was a premise. It is easier to get stronger than change your diet. And the one clip I really thought that stood out as like a repetitive message is like, you might be a personal trainer, training people you might try to be building your own plan. If you're like, oh, do I care more about my diet or working out? There's a lot of conflicting things on the internet about this, but this was their recommendation, which I'm going to pass on to you, is it's easier to build muscle and it's mentally more satisfying because you're going to see progress every few weeks in the mirror. Sometimes like changing your diet, you don't see any progress, like aside from maybe the scale, and then over time kind of seeing if you gained or lost weight, versus like building muscle, you will see yourself getting stronger. You'll see yourself getting faster. You'll see some muscle definition, and that's so motivating. And I find most people, once you start just incorporating working out into your life, down the road, it becomes a part of your life and you just naturally start wanting to eat healthier because it fuels your workouts better. And so for me, changing my diet doesn't necessarily motivate me to work out, but working out motivates me to want to eat more nutritionally. And so I would agree with that. Now I'm going to be honest, we're coming into the categories and podcasts I don't personally listen to, but I know are really popular. Nothing wrong with them. Like some of you will be mad I listen to these and some will say you love them. But these are, I'm just not going to say these are my like go-to weekly listens, but I decided to binge them all so I could get the number one tips for you guys. And another very popular podcast is The Doctor's Pharmacy by Dr. Mark Hyman. And his main tip I've kind of repeatedly seen done is how much nutrition is not necessarily just linked to your physical health, but more importantly, your mental health, and a real importance on protein in your diet, and just kind of how your microbiome is connected to your mental health. It is true that your gut is like the number one production of serotonin in your stomach. Now he's a doctor, so once again, these are doctors, so I'm just someone just trying to get the main tips from the doctors that go on to you. So honestly, take the doctor's advice over me. So I don't want to sound like I'm the professional here, but this is the number one tip he did recommend. And often our gut is considered our second brain. And so it does make sense that like how we eat can impact our mood. Now it's not so black and white. There's going to be a lot of influences. It's not like just changing your diet is going to affect your mental health, but I do think it does make complete sense. If you're eating in a way that doesn't energize you, you're going to have bad mental health. And yeah, can't deny that. I drank all this weekend. My mental health, a little anxious right now. It was my best friend's birthday. We went out drinking. So my anxiety, a little high. Why? Because of what I consumed in my body. Next up, the Checkup by Dr. Mike. Now he has a series called Truth or Scare, which is there's all these things on the internet of like, we need to be scared of. You're about to be bombarded. You need to eliminate plastic. You need to eliminate this. And So I decided I watched his most popular Truth or Scares and got the main premise he recommended about whether you should be scared or not, according to him. First, my babies. My wireless Bluetooth. Once again, 2 to 10 hours a day. Yes, these are in my ear for hours. So if anyone has problems with these, I'm a case study right here to these. And his thought, as of right now, there's no studies that have perfectly linked the radio frequencies from AirPods or cell phones to any kind of cancer. So we've just simply not been able to find the link. Does that necessarily mean no? It's just, there is no studies saying that right now. So we're just kind of, who knows? 2, is sunscreen good or bad? The dose makes the poison. 2020 research by the FDA is pushing for more research into the amount. You don't need to use chemical sunscreen, you can use minerals, but to say all sunscreens are awful and sun exposure is completely safe is a full-on lie. There's a lot of flags raised currently, but we do not have casual proof as of right now. So right now there is a lot on the internet of like, sun exposure is bad for us, or all sun exposure is good. Like there's plenty of links to sun exposure and cancer. And to say all sunscreens are awful is a blanket statement. So I think he's under the camp of like, there's still research going. It's good we're researching it, but there's no black or white. So if someone tells you like black or white answer, that's a real, I think in most of these podcasts, actually, if you're someone listening to podcasts a lot, anyone who's like super black or white about everything, be skeptical. There's occasionally something you can be black or white on, but I think as a premise, it's really going to depend. Like for example, I'm going to be honest, I use a mineral sunscreen because I'm like, you know what? My skin reacts well to it. I have seen some skeptical things about a physical sunscreen, but I've also seen a lot of people contradict that. And that's why I'm like, I don't know, but for me, I like a mineral sunscreen, so I'm going to use it, just lessen my chance. But I'm not saying that's necessarily for you. Just know it's not black or white. Next, how dangerous are the PFs in leggings? First, he actually reached out to Lululemon for this, as my baby, Lulu, and they said they've eliminated all PFAs from their waterproof products. So that's amazing to hear. Like brands are cycling these out. Now, should we be scared that there's the PFAs in our leggings? If you didn't know, plastics. There's plastics in our leggings, polyester, all those things are made of plastic. And then you've probably seen this podcast by Huberman, all these people about like the harms of plastic. And Dr. Mike's advice is the reality is there is so much plastic in our lives. It's in our food, it's in our water. And the amount that there seems to be from your leggings is so minuscule that it seems to be like, it doesn't matter if you changed it or not because you're consuming so much plastic everywhere else. Like the best analogy I would have is say you have a swimming pool, okay? A swimming pool, and you go to drop a little drop of red food coloring in. Versus at the same time, there's a water slide of red food coloring coming into the water. Are you adding more of that drop? Yes. But is it comparing to the water slide of red water going into the pool? No. It's kind of like there's so many bigger things and there's other ways that would probably benefit you from eliminating plastic and all that. Like right now, I'm holding time with plastic. It's just, that's a crazy thing. There's a lot of plastic in this world and we're not getting into that, but that's kind of, I'm going to leave it there because that's a whole subject we can go down. Next up, the Rick Roll podcast. He's one of those podcasts that like, if there's someone I enjoy, I'll listen to. And actually I went and found who's his most popular guest, and it is Huberman. 2 of his 5 most popular podcasts of all time are Huberman, so I thought I'd give the tip from that episode. And that is the best way to enhance your focus. The best way to enhance human focus involves understanding the connection between mental and visual focus and the impact of brain states and utilizing tools like breathwork and hypnosis. And here's some main tips. 1, mental focus follows visual focus. aka training your visual focus can help you train your mental focus. Think staring at something. Specifically, you can train your visual focus by concentrating, aka anchoring, on a specific object and just learning to maintain attention towards it. You can restrict your field to help really narrow this focus. So think wearing a hoodie, putting your hands up, blocking your peripheral vision. Next, for focus, humans are capable of multitasking, but only to a certain extent. We can kind of split our focus to 2 core things. Pretty much focusing on an external stimulation and internal. But intense focus requires combining those 2 things into one. And some optimal tools to help enhance focus include breathwork, light exposure, nutrition, sleep, mindfulness, and temperature. On Purpose with Jay Shetty. Once again, we're going to his most popular podcast, and 2 of his 5 most popular podcasts are with the guest, Dr. Joe Dispenza. To summarize him, if you don't know who he is, he's like the guy who brings science into manifestation. And his biggest thing he's had on Jay Shetty's podcast is how to become successful and stop negative thoughts. Here's a 7-step process to do this, according to him. Number 1, become aware of your unconscious thoughts and beliefs. 2, challenge and reframe. Don't accept negative thoughts as truth. When they arise, consciously challenge them and challenge their validity. Step 3, intention and attention. Intentionally direct your attention towards positive thoughts and beliefs about yourself, such as worthiness, abundance, and love. Step 4, emotional regulation. Learn to shift your mind from a state of stress and survival to a state of relaxation and awareness. Step 5, have a breathwork practice. Step 6, meditation and reprogramming. Step 7, practice and patience with this. Next up, another one that's hit the charts, has been really popular, I've seen everywhere, is The Ultimate Human by Gary Brecka. He's the guy who made Dana White super healthy, which honestly, regardless if you can do that, he did not seem like a spitting image of health, that man. So I will give him that. And his number one thing that he seems to just prime down, which I personally take, is vitamin D, which he believes is the single most important nutrient in the human body because it's the only vitamin our body produces on its own from looking at the sun. Cue back, morning sunlight. A lot of people say it could actually be a bit more accurately described as a hormone than a vitamin, like just that's how important it is to humans because it has such an influence on our body processes. It has a significant role in immune function. It's essential for brain health. A vitamin D3 deficiency has been linked to things like a risk of obesity and other related complications. Vitamin D3 might potentially lower blood pressure and risk of disease. And according to him, the recommended daily intake is a minimum of 5,000 IU combined with 120 milligrams of vitamin K. Now just know that's a lot compared to like just the normal recommendations. If you want to take more, do your own research. I won't even say what I do in this place because I just want you to go look. There is research that says more. But once again, you're an adult, you got to go do that. But that is what he recommends. There is better absorption when you combine vitamin D3 with vitamin K. I personally do it. There's actually one thing that almost all these podcasts have in common. And if you pay attention to the background, you can spot it right now. If you've been paying attention to this channel, you know what it is. Look to the partner beside you. Have you figured it out? Place bets. Have you figured it out? Yes, you have. Because of course, it's Element, which I first learned about from many of these podcasts, and it is by far my favorite electrolyte drink out on the market. I love it because of its science-based ratio of 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. It's used by professional athletes. It has helped just improve my energy, workouts. If you're in health and wellness, you're probably working out. If you're working out, you're sweating, and a great way to improve hydration is not to just drink water, but also consume electrolytes to replenish all the electrolytes you sweat out. It helps with brain fog, muscle cramps, and it tastes delicious. Salted chocolate, come wintertime, cozy. Grapefruit and citrus, my other 2 favorites if you want it in a nice ice cold beverage. And of course, I'm not going to talk about it and not give you guys a code. If you go to drinkelement.com/Keltie, you will get one of their sample packs with your purchase. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share with a salty friend. Once again, that's drinkelement.com/Keltie. Thank you, Element, for sponsoring this video and all those other podcasts. Now, and speaking of this, these were the most popular health and wellness podcasts according to the chart, but I thought I'd reach out to you guys and ask you guys your favorite podcasts. And then I went and binged them all and got the most important things. So I figured if you're watching it, you would probably like the recommendations of another Keltie viewer. So here they are. Diary of a CEO, The Importance of Sleep. Formed by Sammy Clark. Living with Intention. Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule. If you want to do something, count to 5 seconds before your brain kills the idea with overthinking and just do it. Example, you can't get off the couch to work out. Tell yourself you have 5 seconds to do it. Count down to 5 and go. Nick Barrett, The 5 Tips to Improve Endurance. 1. Increase volume. 2. Importance of fuel and nutrition. 3. Implement speed work. 4. Focus on body composition. 1 that is ideal for performance. And 5. Endure the process. The Skinny Confidential, The Importance of Women Weightlifting. It won't make you bulky. And The Wellness Cafe, Romanticize Your Life. Now, I mentioned all these podcasts. Some I do love and religiously listen to. Some I occasionally do. Some I wait till it's a guest. And some I just listen to just to keep knowledge about what's on the fitness place. I think that's one of my roles in the fitness world, is just sometimes listening to the professionals, taking the main points and giving to you guys. And if you want to go further and listen to 3-hour podcasts, you can. But that is one of my places in the world, is it's just testing and hopefully helping you guys find the professionals in this world, because I think that can be overwhelming. Or you're just like, I don't have time to listen to all these podcasts. Keltie, get on it. I'm on you. It's morning sunlight, vitamin D3, omegas, exercise. It's always that. It's always sleep. That is always the answer. I know I just made you watch this whole video and you're like, Keltie, those were yep, it always is. It always is. Get stronger, exercise, omega-3s, eat protein, wide variety of nutrients. It's always the answer. It's always the answer. I'm sick of it. I'm not. I'm going to keep saying it, but sometimes I'm like, God, I could have way flashier titles than Keltie tells you to work out. If only it was, Keltie says to eat 8 olives. I don't know, is that? Anyways, I'm going to leave you guys with the podcast that I'm enjoying right now, aside from those that actually really aren't all necessarily in the health and wellness podcast, because I think it's really important to have variety. 1, Girls That Invest, because also financial health is important for us. Sometimes we throw that out the door. And so someone who's been helping me learn more about finances from a girly perspective, which I love, is at Girls That Invest. And yes, I'm working on my debt series that is coming. 2, the Galin and Samir Show. If you're anyone who is a creative in any sense, I think you'll find benefit from their podcast. But also if you want to get into this content creation, influencing, streaming world in any sort, or you're just fascinated about behind the scenes, they're my go-to. 3, the Morning Brew Daily, which is where I get my financial advice, because it's just, you know what, I'm here for it. And Neil's a runner too. So my runners, you need a little bit of financial news and you want it in a funny way, my Gen Zs and Millennials would recommend. And 4, The Revolutionist History. It's just a random thing about history by Malcolm Gladwell, which is an author I really enjoy. I just recently read his new book, and so now I'm binging all of his stuff. And it's just a lot about things about history in a fun way, because I'm at that age where I listen to history. How'd that happen? Also, I just think I'm going to recommend to you, as you get into health and wellness and you probably binge a whole bunch of podcasts and you're getting them, try and balance yourself. Find some other things you're interested in. Lately, I've been looking into how to create personal style, color theory, and interior design. And I make sure to listen to a couple podcasts in between the health and wellness, so it's not overwhelming and you think every day you have to completely train your health and wellness routine. Because probably right now, if you're listening to this, you're doing really good. But let me know down in the comment any other of your favorite podcasts I missed and the main tip you've gotten from them over the years. I would love to hear that down in the comment section, and go check that out if you're listening. And good luck on your New Year's resolution. I got some big videos coming this month, because that's what January is. We're redoing ourselves because it's fun. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. My type Bs, I respect you. Have a great day. Go pet a dog. Love you guys. Bye.